Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today in this Tea with ASTP webinar about policy in practice supporting entrepreneurship and in our VIADUCT project. My name is Cristina Ruiz. I work as a project manager in the Technology Transfer Office of the University of Zaragoza in Spain. And I'm here today with Silvia Gastaldo, which is representing Pieve Soligo as project partner of our VIADUCT project. And we are happy to share with you our VIADUCT project and the two first concrete results we are happy to have achieved within this project. So I will start my presentation briefly introducing you the project. Give me 1 second to share my screen. Okay, nice. So as I've mentioned, we are here today to talk about our project and the policy improvement we have achieved. The project was approved in the first call of the Interreg Europe program. Both results we are presenting today are policy improvement. One of them, an implementation undertaken in Aragon, which is the region that I'm here representing today, and the other one in Pieve di Soligo, represented by Silvia. As I've mentioned, the project was approved in the first call of the Interreg Europe program. And for those of you who are not familiar with Interreg Europe program, it's an European cooperation program that helps public authorities and policy-relevant organizations to improve their policy instrument through the exchange of experience. So I will highlight three keys of the program, which are, first of all, the beneficiaries and participants in this kind of projects, which are public authorities mainly, but also policy-relevant public organizations. So, for example, universities, regional development agencies, and other entities which are not directly the policy authorities, but are relevant in the ecosystem and have something to say in the policies that the policy authority is implementing. The second key will be the kind of activities that are funded by the program, which are mainly knowledge sharing activities. So what the program looks for is people to exchange together on initiatives that have already proved successful in one region, so that can be transferred to another region. So it does not finance research, development, or new implementation, but the activities related to exchange of experience and learning from other colleagues. And the third key for me will be the policy instrument, because it's a word that it's very common in Interreg Europe. But what is a policy instrument for them? It's a means for public intervention. That is to say, any law, any decree or regulation that it's used to implement policies. So, this said, let's talk about our project. VIADUCT seeks for valorizing public research to drive technology transfer and commercialization through the creation of spin-offs. So we try to cover all the value chain of the spin-off creation process, starting from the promotion of the entrepreneurial culture until the establishment of this new spin-off. The project started in March 2023, so we have already been working for 2 years and a half, and the total project budget is 1.8 million euros. We are 8 project partners from 8 European regions working together: the University of Zaragoza in Spain, Pieve di Soligo in Italy, and also ASTP as the advisory partner. That's why we are here today presenting the project. Also, we have 5 more partners, which are the West Regional Development Agency in Romania, Kaunas Science and Technology Park in Lithuania, Western Development Commission in Ireland, and the Council of Tampere region in Finland. And these are the learning process we have followed in our project. So, as I've mentioned, we wanted to cover all the value chain of the spin-off creation process, from the research results that leads to that spin-off until the establishment of the concrete business. So that's why we dedicate one full semester to one topic that represent or normally represent a barrier to establish new spin-offs. So we started discussing about the promotion of entrepreneurial culture among public researchers. Then we look for methods and initiatives dedicated to the identification and valorization of new ideas. Then we discussed about the business development and management skill of researchers, since normally they are very experts in their knowledge field, but they are not always interested in the business field. We also discussed about the regulatory and legal framework that affects spin-offs and sometimes prevents them to establish. Then we also shared knowledge about the funding and financing mechanisms that are available or should be available to spin-offs, depending on the stage of development they are. And last but not least, we also discussed about initiatives for those spin-offs that are about to be established and want to consolidate themselves. So what we do in all the semesters is to analyze on a regional level if we have any initiatives that have already proved successful and it's worth to share with partners. So we try to compilate as much information as we could about this initiative and shared this information with our colleagues from other regions so that they can learn from our experience and analyze within their regional ecosystem if they want to transfer this initiative and to implement them in their own region. So VIADUCT partners are addressing 7 different policies. So as you can see, there is a varied kind of policies, since from regional operational programs, smart specialization strategy, and also other policies more regional or local, more specific from one region. And the key or the overall objective of the project is to improve the performance of these policies by implementing new measures that helps and supports spin-off creation. What we achieved until now. We undertook one interregional analysis report on research-based spin-off creation. This was done in the first year of the project, and the objective was to analyze the starting point of each region, what are the strengths and the weaknesses of each region, so that we can have a complete view of what can be improved in each region and also find or look for synergies and complementarities. This document is fully available in our website. I put here the link to the full document. And if I'm not wrong, you will receive this presentation afterwards, so you can have a look at it if you are curious. We have also identified 31 good practices, which are good initiatives that have proven good results to support spin-off creation. Among these 31 good practices, 15 of them has been selected as best and are available on our website too. So you can also have a look at them to learn about these concrete initiatives and the results they have achieved. We have organized 6 policy learning events until now, in which we exchange all these good practices identified and learn ones from others. And the key results that we are presenting today is the first 2 policy improved that we have achieved. One in Aragon, in the region that I'm representing, and the other one in Pieve di Soligo in Italy. And between these 2 policy improvements, we have mobilized 1.7 million euros from regional or local resources. We will go after that to know deeper what are these policy improvements about concretely. And I would also like to highlight the important role that the stakeholders have in this project. Since I have mentioned, this project is mainly addressed to public authorities, but not only, because there are other entities that are also public but have a high level importance in the ecosystem and are also key to make it work. For example, in VIADUCT, according to the topic we are addressing, universities, public researchers, business support organization, incubators, accelerators, these kind of entities are also crucial for us to have them on board. These kind of entities participate regularly in project activities to learn first-hand experiences on the topic and also to share their own experience. They work closely with the partner and the policy authority to integrate these lessons learned and analyze if some initiative is worth to implement in our own region. So overall, their involvement is crucial in maximizing the chances to achieve policy improvements. So if you want to know more about VIADUCT, we have put here the link to our project website where you can know more about the activities we do. You can subscribe to our newsletter also and know more about these good practices and initiatives that we have already proved successful. We also have some videos if you want to know more in a lively manner. So I've put, before going to my second presentation, which is the policy improvement, if you have any question, I will have to hear the Q&A after that, after my presentation. In the meantime, I will change my slides from, okay. So as I've mentioned, the objective for today is to present the first two results that we have achieved thanks to the bio knowledge sharing. So this is the first that have been recently implemented in Aragon, and as a summary of the whole policy improvement, the government of Aragon, which is a regional government, has recently launched the Irene Monroset program with the objective to strengthen research, development, and innovation units and centers with specialized staff in knowledge transfer that will be dedicated to support researchers in all steps of the tech transfer process, fostering the collaboration between research and businesses and promoting spin-off creations. I will present this initiative, but I also will talk about how did we do from the inspiration we gained from our colleagues from SAT Connectus, one of the partners of the project, and the initiatives they have implemented until the official launch of this new program. So, as I've just said, this new implementation we undertook in Aragon is based or is influenced by a good practice that our colleagues from SAT Connectus shared with us in one of our policy learning events. So they have a good practices called Scouting Public Lab Inventions, Bridging Innovation in Grand Est, which is also available in our website, that looks to identify innovative research results with potential for technology transfer through a practice of scouting the inventions directly in the university labs. So that's the key feature of this good practice for us. In this case, the people who assess researchers in the tech transfer process are not in their technology transfer office or whatever part of the research center, but on the contrary, they are part or become an integrated part of the research team. So they scout innovations that are potentially transferred directly in the labs, are quite in contact with the research team and assess them directly in their labs. This leads to a more proactive that allows them to identify a wide number of research results that could be potentially transferred. Apart from these presences in the labs, they complement this practice with some educational events they organize ad hoc to increase the awareness and the interest of researchers on aspects related with the tech transfer, such as IP, research to market transfer, strategic industrial partnerships, confidentiality. So they have the capacity to adapt themselves to the needs and demands that the researchers are expecting for them. We first heard about this initiative in the second VIADUCT interregional workshop held in November 2023. And as we consider it really interesting, we shared with our stakeholder and our public authority in February 2024. So we managed to contact the persons that are managing this kind of calls within the government, and they attended the meeting and showed the interest on it. So after deep analysis on their side, they agreed to launch a new call to allow research institutions based in our region to hire some specialized staff to undertake these permanencies in the labs closer to the researchers. They consider that some staff is needed to go from one lab to another and to have a more proactive role in looking for research results. So after working internally within the regional government and also with the university, they met sometimes during the year, and the new call inspired on these good practices, and as a result of this project was officially launched in the 14th of February 2025. So some features of this program is the first program in Aragon whose objective is to strengthen research, development and innovation units in the region by providing them with staff specialized in research and knowledge transfer. So this staff will be dedicated to support researchers in all steps of the tech transfer process. I put here the function as are in the call so that you can have in mind what is expected of these people, of this staff. They are expected to identify research results among research groups and advise them on the valorization and transfer possibilities, to promote activities that bring research and business closest together, to undertake technological demands analysis, to promote trainings in knowledge transfer, to assess the potential of inventions, to undertake analysis of patentability and market prospecting for transferring protected invention, and to foster entrepreneurial culture and to advise researchers on the creation of spin-offs. So these functions perfectly aligns with the objective of our project. So I think this good practice reflects very well to achieve with this project. The beneficiaries are public and private universities and research centers that develop their activity in Aragon, in our region. And for the first call launched by the government, 15 new contracts will be financed among the 22 applications received in total. So the budget allocated to this first call was 1 million euros to be spent between 2025 and 2027. So with this budget, the funding covers the first 2 years of the contract of these 15 new people that will be hired in the research centers. Also, co-finance on behalf of each beneficiary is expected to make the position more attractive for candidates. The call was resolved in May, and from June to October, the entities that the beneficiaries of the call undertook the staff selection processes following some criteria that the regional government put. Then the start date of the contracts was the 1st of November 2025, so just 10 days ago. So we don't know much yet so of the jobs that they are currently doing. But what we know is that these 15 new staff are expected to coordinate and collaborate among them. And tomorrow, the regional government hosts a dedicated event for them to know each other, start to network, to create this network of contact, and to explain deeply the expectations they have on their side of these people. Also, in this event, tech transfer experts, entrepreneurs, and high-level politicians are expected to attend. Okay, and that's all for the moment about these initiatives. We are really looking for the first reports of the job of these agents because I think this could really make a difference in our regions and in the identification of new results. So if you have any questions, I will be happy to hear them. Thank you. We have a question that asks, what level of education does the hired staff have? Okay, they all need to have a university degree related with science and technology fields, or also with the business administration field. And they are then evaluated with their experience in tech transfer activities. Do they have experience from industry on development of new products? I don't know. Personally, I don't know the exact profile of all the candidates, but what I know is they were evaluated by their experience on tech transfer activities. That is to say, if they have already created some spin-off, if they have collaborated with companies in industrial contracts, they have if they had managed patents or IP issues in the past, and these kind of things. Do you also have room for extra legal staff in the budget? No, not really, because this new staff is expected to integrate in the team of the beneficiary of the institution. So in this, normally in research centers or universities, which are the beneficiaries mainly, they already have their legal department who assess them in the legal issues. But what they are looking for in this staff is mainly to act as a link between the researchers and the businesses, and be able to assess the researchers on who to contact or what to do when they realize they have an invention that could be potentially transferred. Are these agents technically proficient with labs technical field to be able to understand the research activities? Not always. For example, in Aragon, we have different research institutes depending on the field, and the agents that are hired in these institutes are expected to have this technical knowledge regarding to the research activity that is being undertaken. But for example, in the University of Zaragoza, which are a generalist university, it's not possible to that only one person knows about everything. So the key here is to know about tech transfer, to know what an invention needs to have to be potentially transferred, and to be able to identify that. And then they will put these researchers in contact with the relevant experts and the relevant people who could directly assess them on the next steps to protect this invention and to start the valorization and transfer process. Who makes the term sheets or license agreement between university and the startup? Okay, in this, the agent is also expected to assess them and to collaborate on the negotiation disagreement and all the things. But there are also a team behind. So the thing is that these people is not expected to do all the job, but is expected to help to identify those research, and then those innovations are closer together to the team of experts in tech transfer that was currently in place in the institute or in the university, and facilitate all the relevant process, starting with the IP things, then licensing, and so on. But the key here is that what have been detected in our region is the lack of awareness of the innovations that are being undertaken. So this agent will act as a facilitator, as a proactive person who will be closer to the researchers, so that they have an easy and accessible way of communicating those innovations to the relevant people who will help them with the tech transfer process. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I will give the floor to my colleague Silvia, who will explain her policy improvement, and I will also be there at the end of the webinar in case some more questions arise. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Cristina, for the introduction. So I will share my screen. Okay. So I'm here on behalf of the Municipality of Pieve di Soligo, where I'm the project manager for the Viaduct project. So at the beginning of the project, as the municipality was supposed to improve its recovery plan, but after a few meetings and few discussions with the territorial stakeholder and also the municipality, there was the possibility to have a new grant to introduce on the territory, which was new for different reasons that I will show you in a while. And so we changed a little bit the plan that we had on the project. So our policy improvement is the grant for non-agricultural activities. And this grant was presented twice. So it was presented at 2 partner meetings, with a first presentation and then with its implementation. So how did it start, how it was born? We had this idea to create this grant because we had also some financial funds. So the idea came from one of the meetings, and actually it was a meeting in Pieve di Soligo with all the partners and the stakeholders. And during this meeting, our partner, the West Regional Development Agency, showed us the concept of the innovation voucher, which is a good practice that it aims to have a new financial mechanism for SME to implement a specific area or territory. So in Italy, it's not legal to have the voucher as I would say a financial fund process. But the concept behind the voucher was really interesting because it was a way to give some funds to a specific area of the territory where usually there are funds, but other kind of funds. So this good practice was really interesting for one of the stakeholders that we invited to the meeting, who was part of the IPA, which is local group of the area, and in particular of the north of Treviso area, which is the IPA, Intese Programmatiche d'Area. And then there was also one stakeholder who was from the GAL, which is a local development agency that operates on local territory of Pieve di Soligo. And they were as well interested on the possibility to have a new grant with some other existing funds that was a little bit different than the one that we had before in the area. So this is how the implementation started from. Then we had some like technical discussion with both of the stakeholders and the municipality. And in the end, the grant wanted to address innovative activities in the territory. So it had, I would say, a few structural change from the other grants that the area had previously. So first of all, the Pieve di Soligo area is an agriculture area. So all the funds that are there usually are just for agriculture activities or agricultural machinery or skills and upskilling, always on the agriculture topic. So this was an innovation for the areas, for the specific area, to have a non-agricultural business activity grant. And the targets were startups or people with the VAT that just started a business in the last 6 months, or that they are willing to open one business within the next 6 months from the approbation of the grant. And then we have the final amount that it was per year for the call, that was 5,600. And what was like the really innovation for the Interreg Europe project for approving this grant and this policy improvement? It was its specific focus on a different activity than the normal grants. And then the new targets, which were startups, spin-off, new companies, or even just a person that wants to create a company within the next 6 months, and the specific focus on the entrepreneurial approach of the grant. So we had a first implementation round, which was the first call, and it was launched at the end of June 2024, and it was out for almost 4 months. And then at the end of October, it was the deadline to present the documentation. So also the documentation for the grant, it was simplified in order to support and to try to also attire some new applicants, and just to don't be too much complicated, as sometimes funds are complicated on the administrative point of view. And for this first grants, there was a co-financial part with the European Agriculture Fund for Rural Development and European Union. But then there was also some private funds that were added, because to the grant received 75 applications, and from 18 different municipalities out of the 22 of
Silvia?
the specific area where the grant was involving. And
Silvia, can you hear me?
between these 75 applications, there were 58 that were eligible and also accepted. So the Commission found some private funds, and they decided to add to the grant 20,000 euros to give to each of these beneficiaries in order to arrive to the final grant budget of 196 euro. So there was a collaboration in between the public funds and the private ones. And then we also have like the new for this year that policy improvement was actually into an implementation phase with its second call. So we had a new call going out at the end of August of 2025, and then the deadline is gonna be on the 20th of November 2025, and we are expecting to have the result in between January and February. So it's now still going on the selection. And yeah, here I'm showing you some links if you want to check out all the information. And just let me know if you have a question about how it worked and any of the procedural part of it. That's pretty much, I would say, what is on our side. Is there any question regarding this policy instrument? Okay, the first question that we have is that there is a lot of knowledge that will be generated from this program. So I'm glad to hear of the effort to bring them together and facilitate knowledge sharing. Are there plans for how to continue the program or take advantage of this experience? So all our good practices are actually shared on the Interreg Europe page in a specific session. And regarding the future experience, we are for sure gonna try to communicate and make some other communication moments for the policy improvement. And then unfortunately, when the grants and the project is gonna end, this partnership will end, but we will see with the new program of the European funds. Maybe we're gonna be able to present an implementation of the viaduct project. So hopefully it will keep going on and we can keep sharing not only knowledge, but also the update on our implementation policies.
Yeah. And to complement with my colleague, you have just said, it's important to know that the ultimate objective of the Interreg Europe program is that the knowledge sharing that they are funding, they are financing to partners, is somehow transferred to each region so that the region allocates some money to this initiative that have been learned on behalf of the project activities, so that once the project ends, the regional government of the relevant policy authority can continue allocating budget to this initiative that have been learned thanks to our participation in the project.
We have another question. Was there an effort to also make the reporting requirements for grant recipes less complicated? I like the idea of less complicated application. So because in the specific case of the grant of the municipality of Pieve di Soligo, the grant was in the grant owner, we can say that. It was this GAL, which is the local agency. So they are an association, which is like not fully public, not fully private. So as the local development agency has a way lighter procedure inside. So it was the best stakeholder to be like the presenter of the grant, I would say, because if the grant was taken in charge by the municipality, all the documentation required will be way more complicated, and it's gonna be with more documentation as well. It was a decision that I would say that having the chance to choose a stakeholder that was not a municipality was a good way to try to don't be too much bureaucratic on it, I would say. And then regarding the reporting, yes, after last year grant, it was made a report, which is in Italian, but I can share it if you want. And it was a report about who answered to the grant, how many applications received, how many applications from already existing companies, how many from female entrepreneurs, and also under 30s entrepreneurs. So there are some data, it's like a 20 pages document on all the procedure and communication and also application results.
Okay, so if we are not wrong, we can't see any more questions. So before closing the webinar today, I would like to thank you for being here with us to show your interest in our project and on what we have done. And then you will receive the presentation after the webinar, so you can, of course, stay in touch with us and know the project activities and the projects through the links we have shared. I hope it was of your interest. And in case you want to know more or have any doubt that came up to your minds later on, you are, of course, welcome to contact us. You have at least my email in the presentation, and we'll be very happy to answer you or to give you more info in case you are interested. So thank you very much for your attention, and hope to see you in another event.